I'd like to call to order the Thursday, July 20th, 2023 meeting of the Fairfield Bike and Pedestrian Committee. The time is 6:07, and we'll start with call to order and roll call of committee members. So, you know, one thing I did, I started attaching a list of, you got the documents, right, Anya? I sent them to you. The agenda and the minutes and stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. But,
Okay.
you know, one thing I did was just to list the committee members and the town department representatives on the last page. So I'll just go down the list and Mike Allen.
Here.
Dave Dembowski.
Present on the phone, yep.
Yep. Tim Callahan has notified me that he will not be here. Steve Nidek here. Tom Kane here. Is it Keen or Kane?
Keene.
Keen, that's what I thought.
Kane was the guy, the governor of Jersey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, spelled the same way, right?
No, he's yeah. And then there's a Keene College, Kean.
Yep.
In there, but whatever.
Our newest,
Yeah.
our newest member, Anya Mizak.
Mary said she's on the call, but we can't hear her. She's asking what she can do to time in so that we can hear her.
I thought I heard a female voice. I mean, I don't know. I didn't mute anybody, so she should be able to, if she dials the number on here,
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Oh, it says you can't hear me if I call this number, sorry.
No, I don't mute anybody, like they tell you to do, so, you know, you can
Was
just...
that Mary Hogue or Mary Streeter?
Mary Streeto, right?
This is Mary Hogue.
Oh, Mary Hogue, I'm sorry, okay. Is that the Mary you meant?
Mary Hogue, yeah.
You meant Mary Hogue, okay.
Is that enough?
Okay, all right. Okay, so Anya Mizak?
That's me.
Say here, okay.
Here.
Mary Tomei Streeto has not responded. David Peck has notified me he will not be here. He's out of town. And Tony Wellman?
Here.
Okay, great. So we do have a quorum.
What do we need for a quorum, by the way? 4?
5. Yeah, you need a majority, so we need 5. Yeah, the phones count. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. First, and I'd like to welcome Anya Mizak. Is it Anya or Anya?
Anya.
Anya, okay, Anya. Anya actually was at our meeting, I'm going to say 3 months ago or 4 months ago, as a member of the public, and expressed an interest on getting on the board. And she has replaced Jose Arami, who, due to work constraints and, you know, the usual. Jay was the same way, Jay Behan, and it happens, you know. The poor people that have to still work have issues sometimes.
I still have to work, right?
But, so, welcome, Anya. So, why don't we just introduce ourselves? And Dave, I had you on the agenda for the last meeting to welcome you, so I'm going to welcome you also because we didn't somehow connect because we didn't get your phone number or whatever the case was. So, I'll start with Anya. You just want to just give us a 1 minute encapsulation of, you know, why you're want to be part of the committee and kind of some of the things I know you've done some good stuff for the town outside of this committee. So please just give us a minute or two.
Minute or two, okay.
Or a minute, 30 seconds. First of all, what part of town do you live in? I always like to know what.
I'm in Stratfield.
You're in Stratfield, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Fairfield. You know, I left for about 20 years. The majority of those years were spent in cities that were very bike and pedestrian friendly. So when I came back here with my kids, I left a family here, and if it was something that was really noticeable that was missing, you know, I have a big family bike. You might see me around town sometimes on it, and you know, I want to make it, meaning like it's a bike that can fit my kids in the back. And, you know, I just want to make this town safer for everyone to bike and walk. I think we have the potential to. I think our roads are wide enough. We just got to get that out there.
Yep.
And make it safe for everyone to you know, get around.
Yeah. Again, you know, I think that's pretty much the overall goal of this group is safety, to make sure that we can do constructive things with the mainly help with the engineering department, the health department, to make, real changes and prevent one death. That's all I'm looking for at this point, because, we've had some bad experiences in the past couple of years, and it's a very sad situation. But if we don't do anything, it's not going to change. It will happen again. So, hi, Evan.
Hello, how are you?
Oh,
Good.
I want to get more people on the road walking and biking and less people being killed.
yes.
That's kind of our goal, yeah.
That's the mission statement.
So, very good. And Anya's going to be on the agenda a little later. I think I put you on here
Yes.
for, because she ran a bike bus event for the schools, which I saw a little bit about it, but she's going to sort of tell us what that was all about, and it sounded like a very great program. So thank you very much. Welcome.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
If I could just interrupt, I met you at the street project, right? Or
Yes,
no?
I was there too.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's where I met.
And you were chatting with my brother yesterday, so
Oh.
trying to get sidewalks near McKinley.
Oh, okay,
Maybe
yep.
ran into-
Oh, Cardinal
Okay.
Street project? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, great. Dave, do you want to give us a minute of your time and tell us a little bit about your interest in the committee and all that? And first of all, what part of town do you live in, and then your interest in the committee?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to serve with you all. Dave Dembowski. I grew up in Massachusetts, lived in Manhattan for 15 years, where I saw bicycle and pedestrian ways change the way the city allowed people to interact with one another and get out and enjoy all the great things it had to offer. I live on Sturgis Road. We are a Riverfield family. I have two daughters at Riverfield now, one in the 5th grade, one going into the 3rd, and my son is at Roger Ludlow Middle School, where he'll enter the 8th grade. I reached out to Brenda, one of her email newsletters about 6 months ago, and I said, hey, I live here. I want to be part about making this community a better place to be active and to be outside, and I just think there's a lot we can do to make downtown and the bike paths a part of our community and part of our commerce. And so I just raised my hand, and I was lucky enough to, get a call back. So thanks again.
Well, we appreciate you volunteering your time, like we're all volunteers. Frankly, we've had a lot of turnover. I'll start with myself. Each of us will give 30 seconds on ourselves, but I joined the committee probably a year and a half ago, and I joined because a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, was in one of the fatalities. Not him, but his girlfriend that he was with at the time, but he was right there, and he fortunately survived with very little injury. But, being retired, knowing I was going to be retired, I wanted to get on some committee in town, and that was the one that was the best fit for me. And I'm very happy I did it. I just, I want to make sure that we get some things done. I feel a little frustrated that, the wheels move a little slower. And, a lot of times, frankly, it's not the town, it's the state and the regulations and the requirements and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to, we finally are fully staffed. We finally have a police representative, Sergeant Evan, and I think that's very important. I've been trying to get a school representative, and I haven't been really successful with that. We'll keep working on that. Not as a member of the committee, but just as a liaison. Okay, so certainly Bill is our engineering liaison, and Santina is our health department liaison. Evan is our police department, and I think if we can get somebody in with the schools, and Mary Hogue, I'm sorry, Mary, I didn't mean to disregard you. Mary Hogue is our...
And behind you, she came in after Mega. I don't even know if you noticed.
Oh, I didn't see. I'm sorry, I did not see it. And Mega here is our also a great asset from the engineering department. That really we couldn't function without their input, to be honest, because we just don't know enough about the streets and the designs and the issues they deal with, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So.
Are you looking for somebody from the PTA or staff?
I don't really care. I mean, I reached out to Superintendent Testani and asked if he could ask someone in his group to be part of, the group here as a liaison. And he said I'd be happy to do it. And unfortunately, I didn't think that was a great idea because the guy's plate must be not as loaded as Bill's, but close, probably. And unfortunately, that has not happened. So, I'm certainly open to. I think PTA would be great. I have no problem with that. An active PTA. The only problem with that is I think the PTA. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's by school, right?
There is a PTA across town.
There's a town-wide PTA? Oh, okay. See, I didn't even know that. So, listen, if you can give me a name or anybody, I asked for names, and I would be happy to reach out and ask them if they'd like to participate for an hour and a half each month and, bring their issues to us, and we can also ask their opinion on things, and it would work really great. So.
Two things real quick. There was somebody who came from the school department. I want to say maybe 2 years ago.
I don't think I was here.
I don't think you were here. I can't remember the guy's name, but he spoke. We talked about some joint school activities.
Yep.
Bike to school days. That sounds like a great idea. Can't remember the guy's name. I have to go back and look.
Yeah.
See in the notes. But that was one representative. Two, also a husband of a former PTA president. I know PTA is lovely. Well-intentioned, but they have no power, so they don't really have much. They're there to cheer on the school, but in terms of I think it helped. It'd be great, more is merrier, but just there's partially a limitation.
Yeah, again, if you.
I think administration would be a good idea.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Tony. Tony got dragged into the committee by one of his best friends.
Not terribly forcibly.
No, I'm only kidding. We're very fortunate to have Dave Peck, who can't be here tonight, but he's a prior police superintendent. What's his title? Superintendent? Chief of police. I'm sorry, chief of police for Fairfield. And he already has been a very big asset. He works very well with Tony because they're friends. And I think we've already seen some accomplishments there, trying to build that bridge and have relationships with the police department. And certainly having Evan here is a big part of that too, because, we've really never had an officer. And, a lot was going on. They were short-staffed and, people leaving and COVID. And, there's a lot of bad things that happened in the past couple of years. So I feel very good that we have fully 9 committee members now. And I hope we can have some longevity. I think Mike is the most senior.
Keep showing up, man.
Yeah, maybe we can talk after about what you want from this member. I mean, I could potentially, if it's just a PTA liaison, I know people involved with the Fairfield PTA could start coming to their meetings and just...
Yeah, I think the idea is someone we could ask questions of and someone that could bring the school's issues to us directly. Because, I would say a person that gets a lot of feedback from the public, the parents of children or whatever, would be the most valuable person to have, that knows what's going on, because we don't know. We don't know what's going on with the schools. We have a bit of a feeling for what roads need to be looked at. They're pretty obvious, things like that. And we can, certain members of the committee are more bicycle related, certain are more pedestrian related, which is great. We have I think a decent mix right now.
There's also now there's a nationwide Safe Routes to School program. I don't know if you're all familiar with it, but now there's a dedicated person in Connecticut specifically for that program. Actually just tried to register us for it to see what resources they have available, so I'm going to ping them again. They have grant money. They have, the whole idea is they basically draw a radius around, I think it's about half a mile maybe, around half a mile or a mile, I can't remember, around every school. And they've looked at Fairfield, and that's like most of Fairfield, it's within a mile of a school. And so there's a lot of resources they could potentially provide to help us make sure that there are safe routes within the
what's the person's name? Do you know offhand or no? That's okay. If you
look
don't.
it up myself,
Yeah,
get back to you.
but I mean, I know the first couple meetings I was here, Sarah Roy, my predecessor, she brought in a couple of people. There was a guy from Trumbull, I think, and Barnhart, the guy from Mark Barnhart from Fairfield. So, I mean, and those things I think as a committee are very valuable, because one of the problems we had initially was there was very little experience. You know, we took months to kind of just learn stuff, you know. And I think we're feeling more comfortable. But yeah, any state support we can get is obviously great. We certainly want to, you know, reach outside of the town government with the maybe state senators and something like that. Somebody sent me something a while ago about Tony Huang being involved with something, and I'm sure he'd come here and, you know, maybe put people on the agenda like that. I mean, that would
There's
be
a camera here. Well, as long as there's a camera.
That's what.
Well, Tony, I think, is in charge of the transportation portion of
Yeah.
the state or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact title.
Steve, if I may?
Sure.
I think since children, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I think since children probably represent perhaps the single largest group of pedestrians and bicyclists in the city, it certainly behooves us to have a professional from the education area represented here to give us that information they get every day, not only for input in terms of how do we make our streets safer and so on, but in terms of how we're educating our young people about being pedestrians and about being
absolutely,
you know, bicyclists.
In the school system, I think education is the most important contribution we could make to, you know, build an awareness in especially the youngsters. You know, the younger they are, the better.
Now, some of this may be because the profile of the committee may be relatively low in the community, and maybe that will change.
But that's, again, I think if we have someone from the schools that really wants to make change, I think we're a vehicle that, look, you know, we can only do so much, but I think we can help in a sense that we know who to go to, how to get things out in the public eye. You know,
I think the one you want to talk to is Angela's Papa George, to be honest with you. He's high up, but he's not the top, you know what I mean, but he's high up. I don't know.
Angelis.
Papa George. Yeah.
Okay.
And do you know what he does?
He's Director of Operations, so like school security, he does a lot of stuff with the buses, pretty much a little bit of everything.
Well,
even if you can make even if you made one meeting a quarter,
absolutely,
that's a lot better than what we have now.
And even if it's by phone, you know, whatever. I mean, you know, I understand, you know, the requirements that people have, and in night meetings, I've worked for town government for 13 years, and night meetings are easily the worst part of the job.
Yeah, he knew, because real quick, because I know we're short on time. He was the one that suggested, you know, whether it be McKinley, Mill Hill School, or North Stratfield as examples. And he's like, you know, Mill Hill, because there's not an extensive sidewalk network, they actually have no technical walkers. Everybody's bused to the school.
Yeah.
And so there's a perfect example of, you know, he's trying to get more involvement in it. So that's why I was suggesting it.
Yeah, and another thing, Anya, I believe you were part of this. I mean, you know, people are working independently to get things done, and that's good. But I think, you know, for example, the petition that went out changed out our position that was done for the Stratfield school area, and I think you were part of that, if not the author. I thought it was tremendous. I mean, you know, you got a ton of people. I read your goals or whatever, and it lined almost 100% with exactly what we're trying to do here. So, you know, the last thing I think we want to do is have little groups trying to get things done, you know, without us maybe trying to help and coordinate those things. And that's sort of another goal, so.
Yeah, I can talk some more
Yeah.
about that too.
Yeah, okay. Great, wonderful. So I feel really good. Like I said, I think we have a very solid group right now, and I'm looking forward to getting some things accomplished. You know, one of the things I feel badly about is, you know, being on the committee for a year and a half, and I kind of feel like we really haven't accomplished anything. And we want to accomplish some things, okay, and make a difference. So, okay, enough said there. Real quick, maybe just Mike, the rest of Tony, Mike, Tom, how many years and kind of where your interests lie or whatever.
Sure.
What's your background, you know, what your forte is and whatever.
So I'm Mike Allen. I've lived in Fairfield for 28 years, been a member of the committee. I really don't know. I think it's 8 or 9 years. I've lost track. My longevity here is just because I just keep showing up.
Were you an original member?
No, I was not original. The
2014?
original members were very hardcore, and they really pushed through the whole complete streets. You know them all.
Mhm.
Phil can tell you. But
I was just chatting with Alyssa yesterday.
was it?
I was
Yeah,
just chatting
Alyssa
with
was one of the
Israel
original
yesterday.
members,
Oh, okay, yeah, she was one of the,
Yeah,
certainly
she
one of the
was
founders, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I had a neighbor who was part of the original committee and wrote me in at that point. I'm a big bicyclist, and I live up in South Pine Creek, south of Route 1. And but I've also walked a lot in the last 2 years. I take up walking. I walk 4 to 6 miles a day. I probably have to replace my shoes I bought 2 years ago, so I think I got 500 or 600 miles on them.
That's a good thing,
around town.
yeah.
They lasted 2 years?
Just 2.
Well, we should rotate them like your tires.
Great, thanks, Mike. Tony, real quick?
Well, Tony Wellman, I'm a town resident since about 1995. I lived in New York before that. I grew up in Fairfield County, Westport and Greens Farm. My background is largely in marketing communications. I'm a copywriter and creative type, as they say. And I'm semi-retired, not completely. And I'm friends with Dave Peck, who's a neighbor of mine, and encouraged me to join. So here I am.
And Tony, again, background's important. Tony's a great addition, and because of the communication aspect, which is something we want to do, but we haven't, we're getting close to doing our first communication, I think, of many. And, his experience, I think, is going to be great for that, because we got to get the message out there, whatever message it might be. The first one being, I think, walking safety type of stuff. But so his background was really a nice addition. My background's financial, but I've been exposed to a lot of things in my career. So hopefully I can make some contributions. It's not rocket science for sure. We're just trying to make it safer for everybody and make changes that will have an effect on the residents of the town. So, and Tom, you're our last, and then we could move on.
Sure. Been on the committee, I guess, 2 years. I'm not sure, but lived in Fairfield since the mid '80s. Grew up in New York. My focus is on the pedestrian end, having walked to the train station every morning and every evening. The evening often very, very adventurous, with people paying no attention to people crossing the street and everything else. So that's my focus. I live down in this area, and my background is marketing and sales.
Great. Okay, wonderful. All right, let's move to the next item on the agenda, approval of minutes from June 15, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
That's Mike. A second? Tom? Any discussion, changes, amendments? I want to thank Tony. One of the issues that we've had also is the lack of a secretary. We started out when I was here on a rotating basis, and then Jose Arami offered to be the secretary. I'm sorry, Jay Behan. And then Jay resigned a couple of months ago, just when we thought we had sort of that part of it taken care of. So, anyhow.
I was glad to help, but that's not the kind of writing I typically do, and this is my third.
Yeah.
I think this is my third session that I've been to,
okay.
so I'm still learning everybody.
And just so you know,
What the committee does.
we did it last meeting randomly. I just took the names and threw them up in the air, and whichever one fell off the phone here ended up being picked. And his name fell off, so.
Yeah, so Dave was supposed to be tonight, and
Right.
Jose is supposed to be next month.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Well, that worked pretty well.
So anyhow, so let's take a vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes unanimously.
Mm.
So, I call it chairman's report, but it's just sort of this administrative stuff this month. And I have nomination and election of secretary, and this is on here for a reason, and that is that in some communication with Anya, she offered, hopefully she's not going to renege tonight.
I didn't realize I offered to do everything.
But she offered to be the secretary, and
okay.
yeah. But you listen to the minutes. It's not all that bad. It really,
If I can do it, anyone can do it. I don't know anything.
And we try to keep it to a page and a half tops. Just the real key stuff. Motions need to be in there. And the votes and stuff like that. And, we could certainly help you out if you have any questions, or just look at the last minutes and get an idea.
I didn't bring my computer today.
But
you don't need it, because you just go by the recorded. You can make whatever notes
you can
want.
you can go onto the
meeting is being recorded, and you can
Right.
access it online.
Right.
And just listen to it.
Right.
At your leisure and do that.
Right. And we don't, generally minutes are supposed to be filed 7 days after the conclusion of the meeting, but we have not followed that rule, and they haven't put a lot of pressure on us to do that, I think, because of the way we don't have somebody. So generally we do it for the month later. So having said that, I'd like to nominate Anya Mizak for position of secretary. Tom is the vice chairman of the committee, okay? And the charter says we're supposed to, however you want to say it, it's in there that we need a chairman, a vice chairman, and a secretary. So we've been negligent as far as having an actual secretary. So having said that, like I said, I'd like to nominate Anya for the position of secretary. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mike seconds. Any comments?
Good luck. Sounds like you have more experience than I. In municipal affairs and so on.
Oh, I don't know.
It's one of those things, if it ever becomes onerous, and stuff, we can certainly talk about it. But it's really not that bad. Without having a recording, I think it's a pain in the neck because you have to take hand notes and everything.
I usually do things live.
When you come to the meeting, you really don't have to take any notes. You just listen to the recording and pause it and put some things in there that you think are relevant. And
they're all available on the town website. In fact, I wouldn't just go by my minutes. I'd go back one or two, the previous one.
Yeah, everybody does them different. There's no real formal format. Like I said, you just got to get them. Who basically.
And probably more detailed than.
Yeah, they've gotten over the course of time much more streamlined because people were putting in, I don't know when I did everything, because that's what it seemed to be from before me, but now we've had multiple discussions about this, and it's like shorter, briefer,
right.
And it's just the coaching points. A motion was made about second passed. That kind of thing. We don't need. And then he said, and then she said, and then he said.
Well, there are a lot of discussions about all. I mean, we could do 1,000 different things in this town. 100,000 different things. And so, I think the thing that Steve, you're trying to do is get us to winnow down and focus on.
Yeah, I mean the reason
not like a shotgun blast.
The reason we do the minutes, it's a state requirement by the Secretary of State, okay? I wish someday they would just say, the recording's good enough because it has 100% of what's in there. And frankly, when we were rotating, some of the committee members would basically transcribe the meeting. And it was like 3 pages long. Like, that's really not the intent of minutes. Motions, who's there, that type of thing. Real basic information. If you want more detail, you got to click on the thing and listen to it. So,
even though I'm not a member right now, here it is a half hour, and I would have, if I was taking the notes, is who is here, and the motion was passed to approve previous minutes. So in a half an hour, you really only have 2 sentences right now.
Oh, and the secretary.
Yeah, right. A new member and secretary.
All right, so there you go, the third.
Which we are
welcomed and approved.
Which we will now vote on. So all in favor,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
What?
It was unanimous.
Oh.
Delayed aye.
Okay.
They voted aye as well.
Unanimous. Thank you so much, Anya.
All right.
Okay, so next item is the meeting start time. I had a request from a couple of committee members of Let's backtrack a little bit. The Board of Selectmen meeting starts at 4. I went to the Police Commission meeting last week that started at 4:30, and we start at 6, and a couple members says, can we start at like 4:30 or 5? I have no issue with it, but it's not a unilateral decision. It needs to be a committee decision. Anya, you sent me an email saying it might create a burden on you because of your kids and stuff. So can you elaborate on that? I mean, it's 1 day a month for an hour and a half. So I'm just trying to.
It's just the time that I usually pick up my kids.
Yeah.
Between school and dinner time.
Yeah.
Probably the busiest time of my day.
Yeah.
If anything, I'd rather move the meeting later to 7.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Why do we need to move it earlier?
Pardon me?
What's the reason to want
Well,
to
because I think people feel like it's like, I'll say, right at dinner time, okay? So if you had it earlier, 4:30, and we're done at 6, people can go home and have their dinner type of thing and, kind of have a little more of your evening left and stuff. And, I've had certainly more favorable feedback from committee members of wanting to do it earlier. However, having said that, I'm very sensitive to individuals.
I don't have kids to take care of.
Right,
so
right.
My schedule is more flexible than that.
I could do even earlier, like before school ends, if you want to go earlier.
Yeah. Well, I guess retired, semi-retired.
Right.
Mary obviously works.
Yeah, I think Mary's not on the call, but I think that she may be someone who also
would. Jose, Pat? But she thinks she'd want to be later or earlier?
I think she would not want to be earlier.
Yeah, I don't think
she
could.
takes the train and stuff to
Yeah, I don't think she could do it.
Where she works.
4:30 either.
I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing that. So look, I brought it up again based on your feedback. I certainly don't want to, burden you and change your life to the point by changing the time. And it works. I mean, it works.
I'm for
so,
keeping it 6.
Evan, does that have any impact on you? I mean, whether it would start earlier or I mean, we certainly would like your opinion too.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, typically Thursdays in the evening, we do get some, we typically do targeted enforcement, state-funded grants to go out and do specific things. So one of us will be here, whether it's myself or Frank DeAndres, who's been here in the past.
Right.
So we'll just kind of rotate through, so we're always here anyway.
But at the end of the day, would earlier work better for you? Not really, or
it doesn't
irrelevant?
Really
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Bill and town employees, any, you'd much rather go home early?
Well, yeah, but I mean, if it was 5:30, that's better for us, but 6 o'clock,
Earlier is good because we finish work around 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
so
officially
we
four.
stay till 5.
Yeah, yes, I hear you, yeah.
It's a balance, like you said, you gotta figure out, because obviously you don't wanna lose members if they can't make it. And I think the original group had it at 6, or even maybe 1 year it was 6:30 or whatever, because you had 3 or 4 members that took the train from New York, coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mary's
it could be all depending on what the group is. Like you said, if you have a bunch of retired people and they have it a little bit earlier, or, I mean, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever. But we just never know what's gonna pop up on our schedule either, so.
All things
I would just say, please don't make it later than 6.
No, I would never do that. No,
but
we're not
if you
gonna do
can make
that.
it 5:30 or 5, that's fine, we're definitely for that, but if not, we understand.
Is 5:30 doable for you, or half an hour different?
That's still intense.
It's tricky. My husband typically works till 6.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
It would be hard for him to get off work an hour early.
Yeah, like I said, so you ask, nobody knows, so.
Yeah.
Look into the future too, who else you want to recruit.
We'll revisit it
That's
another
what I'm
time.
thinking as well.
The earlier time kind of precludes anybody's working. And
That's
I just
what I was
sent an
getting
email
at.
at 5:20 to my client in California, so,
Yep.
I was working.
Yep.
Yeah, leave all on the.
Okay, well, look, I raised it because I had inquiries, so we will keep it at 6 o'clock for now. We'll see maybe if anything ever changes in people's lives or whatever. Certainly during the summer, it wouldn't be a problem for you when your kids aren't in school, I wouldn't think, but anyhow.
Can't pick up.
There were other activities.
They're always.
Yeah.
I'm pre-dinner time this year round.
Okay, all right, so we'll just leave it that we're gonna keep it at 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
to accommodate yourself. And again, I believe Mary,
Working people that might want to join.
I believe, yeah, and that too, for sure. Okay, the last time I have is the August meeting on here. I will not be able to attend. I'm having hip replacement surgery 4 weeks from today, and I can't wait. But believe it or not. But anyhow, I reached out to Tom as the vice chairman. He is going. I'll work with him, and we'll develop the agenda. And then Tom will run the meeting next month, so we don't have to cancel
Right into the ground.
So just so we know, the other option obviously was to cancel it, but I think it's a good idea to have it. So Tom's going to do that. Thank you, Tom.
I will not be here next month.
I may not be able to make it also.
Yeah.
but
Well, okay, so
I can notify.
that's why.
Well,
Management
even if we
another time.
find it, we won't have a quorum.
If you don't have a quorum, you have to cancel the meeting.
Right.
Okay, so, and I understand August is a big vacation month and stuff like that. So right now you're talking about 3. Okay, so if 2 more people can't make it, then you're not gonna have the meeting anyhow, and we'll
Right,
get
August
get
17th.
notice out to, if that's the case.
I may have jumped the gun on that.
Okay, all right,
Can
anyway.
we just handle that later?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we'll just see how it evolves,
Sure.
okay. Next is Tony. Tony's been working on a couple of things, which I asked him to do last month as the I gave you a title, Communications Coordinator. It's kind of cool. I don't
There you
know.
go.
CC.
Huh?
Have you ordered the business card?
Vista print, for $10.
Not yet. You got to stay for a few months.
We'll get the
before
free ones with the ad on the back.
before we order the cards. But, we kind of talked about 2 things where, I know I have not done anything as far as looking at the emails that come into, I think it's called the Bike Ped Committee, whatever, and Tony's done some work on that. And, I don't want to not let people's voices be heard. I haven't had any really bad complaints, which is a good thing. Certainly people can attend the meeting and voice their opinions there, but it's also nice to have that. We had like multiple emails and it was a little confusing, it was hard to access and passwords and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, there was funky stuff that we had, and we should probably speak to IT here. They're right across the hall, evidently.
Yes, now they are, yep.
And
Yeah,
make
Dave
an appointment.
is
Sit down with him and find out, well, I'll go earlier. I'll go at 4. No, 3. And find out what the deal is and how the town manages these things, and if they have best practices that we should be in sync with, so that as the committee changes over personnel and so on, it's a smoother thing. We don't get, dated memoranda that is not, we don't really.
Right, there's 2 pages of different things. I mean, I think at the end of the day, simplicity is what we want to get to, and just, there is an email that's on the website.
Yeah.
So the idea is to have that email get forwarded to the committee members, or maybe just the chairman, okay, and then I could look at them and discuss them or parse them out, or however you want to do it, and just leave it at that. Just have the one email and be able to get back to people and give them responses, which I think is something.
There's a published town email address. We don't use that. That forwards to an email which was a Gmail address, which was created by the former
Sarah Roy, yeah.
I would imagine. And evidently that's how it's done. I don't know why we don't have dedicated emails. Maybe it's just too much with a lot of turnover for the town to manage. I can understand that.
But that's kind of the goal, and let's maybe we can work on that a little bit more this month.
Yeah. So I think what I've observed is communications can be a huge thing. It can be a full-time deal, as you know. And what happened, it looks like either over time or one particularly enthusiastic person created accounts with all the different social media, which is fine, but the problem is you have to feed those beasts constantly. So I think where we're going now is to create our message at each meeting, or as appropriate, whatever the message is going to be, and then use some arterial outlets that already have a following. The police department Facebook page, Brenda's town email update, maybe 1 or 2 other things, and start getting the message out that way, rather than trying to build our own social media presence organically, which takes a long time to do. If people are already at these other places, let's go to where they are and see if we can get some more attention there.
Totally agree.
It's also a little more manageable, too.
Totally agree. Yep.
So, I'm sorry.
I want to put a couple notes to that. One, just as an example, Board of Education, all redistricting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing is all the members get it, and I get like individual responses from those members on my questions.
Is that an email blast? Or is that a social media site?
It's an email address that goes out to all the members.
Okay.
And you can choose to respond. I thought it was really nice to hear from multiple people about their takes on my questions.
Sure.
So I think it's worth considering doing that for this group instead of like one person receiving and having to answer all of them. If somebody emails the email address, we all see it, so it's time, and just respond to that person.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm a little slow. I'm not sure I understand. Is this for outgoing, incoming, or?
This is for collecting feedback from the community. So
Okay.
when I wanted to get in touch with the Board of Education,
Right.
I emailed the address and it went to all the Board of Education members.
Okay, fine.
Because I think there was a question, should the chair get those email
Right.
questions, or should we all? And I think all would make sense.
I think all is better too, obviously, because,
So currently.
one person shouldn't make the decisions.
So with that thought in mind, with this first little blast.
Okay, Mike, take care.
Take care, Mike. I created something which, at the end of it, there's a link to that email, so that anybody reading this can respond to it, and then that'll forward into our in basket with the Gmail.
Yeah.
The question is organizing. It looks like there are like 600 of these emails that have not been looked at in 2 years. So that has to be sorted through, and then approach. Mega, I see you used it on some emails you were writing in to our previous chairperson by that address, I guess. And maybe that's how it was done, but I just happened to see your name in there. So if you haven't received a response...
Is that bike walk address?
Yeah.
Bike walk and run or something like that?
Yeah, Bike Ped Committee at fairfieldct.org.
Yeah, this is what
But there's also a bike walk Fairfield.
Yeah.
Since last email communication.
Yeah.
Is that the right address? Is that the right?
Bike Ped Committee at fairfieldct.org. You would receive a response back from another address, but that's some issue because that's how it's done. It's a forwarded thing, evidently. I'll catch up with the IT guy.
She created untold amounts of email stuff, and sometimes if you responded to her, she would say, "Oh no, don't respond to me on there," because then it becomes an official.
Yeah. So we want to use the KISS principle. We want to simplify, make sure that we're inclusive in terms of the public should be able to reach us if they want to, that we should be able to discuss evenly issues without it getting too complicated.
Yeah, I think
find a formula for that.
I think what you want is saying you want to be a content provider to the PTA thing, the Board of Ed thing, the PD thing, versus being a publisher.
Right.
You don't want to be a platform.
I don't have the time for it.
Exactly. So. We have 500 different platforms.
We meet once a month.
We have WordPress. We've got Facebook. And
no, we're not.
We should shut these things down.
No, but the health department has an following. So so we'll create a list where we send some of our key messages to their vetted content committee and so on. And then let them, if it's appropriate for their audience, that would be, police would have to decide if it's appropriate for your audience, the health department appropriate for your audience, et cetera, and distribute that way. And the common denominator is any responses would come through to the committee town address. The question is managing this. Maybe you and I can talk about this.
Well, again, I'm intrigued by what Anya said, that she uses something and it seems to, I'm guessing it seems to be working pretty good. Maybe we can model it after. We can copy what she's done. I have no problem plagiarizing other people's ideas.
No. I'm still a little slow on it. So in other words, this is, tell me again what.
So I haven't done this, I've just used it, to be clear. So right now, there's a lot of controversy about redistricting in Fairfield, going to the schools. A lot of people have comments about this.
Okay.
And where we've been asked to put our comments is send your emails to, I can't remember the exact address, something like Board of Education Fairfield.
Okay.
And when I send the email to that one address,
it is forwarded.
It must be forwarded to many different people because I've received responses from multiple members of Board of Education.
Okay, right, and I'm sure
And I really appreciate that.
So we'll have to see if that can be done with a Gmail address.
Well, I'm sure with the town mechanic, the B of E people all being elected members of an elected board, you know, so when that goes to the board, they have a mechanism that it shotguns to all 10 people, whatever the correct. I think on what you were saying before, for us, the town IT guys might say, no, you people change every 37 seconds. There's new
That's my
people.
assumption is where.
We're not getting into that. We're just going to send it to the guy who's in charge,
Right.
and you guys, because, you know, it just rotates.
If that,
I mean,
I'm sorry, go
you can
ahead.
also create a new address.
Yeah, well,
We could
it's
create
a
a-
perfectly good address. The
Yeah,
town
I'm saying-
address is a good one.
No, I was saying we could, if we can't use this way, we
Yeah.
could create a Google Groups address.
Sure.
So, and then they could just email us there and we
Yeah.
all get it. And
Yeah.
then we don't concern town IT.
Or it could be forwarded. But then we have to decide internally what we do with that communication.
Right.
Who responds? Who is authorized to respond? When? Does it have to be a committee decision?
Right.
Curious what people are
I just want to
asking.
make sure, because there are FOIA rules and stuff, and so I don't know what,
Sorry, I don't.
so Freedom of Information Act,
Yeah.
so everything, is, like, someone can make a request, and they can access, meeting minutes and, emails among each other and stuff like that.
Right.
So whatever you decide to do, just keep that, I don't know what the rules are.
Sure.
But there might be just restrictions.
Sure, sure. We just, we want people to have access to us, obviously. We just don't want it to fly out of control, and who's responding, and what is the committee position, is that in sync with what the town wants, all that kind of stuff, so.
Yep.
We'll have to figure that out.
Yep. All right.
And that's not up to me, I mean, I'll just find out mechanically what IT suggests.
Yeah. Tony, why don't me and you, before the next meeting, we might ask for Anya's opinion a little bit on this.
Sure.
And, but let's come up with a plan that have one email, figure out where it gets forwarded to and how that gets done,
Right.
and then decide who has access to that and who's responsible for.
Yeah, I haven't changed it over yet, so Sarah's still getting a notification when I
Yeah.
log in, that kind of thing.
Okay, so
But she knows it.
Okay, so let's move on.
But since we're a town
Let-
body, I think
Yep.
we have to be careful.
Yes.
If I may just, so we have this article, and that's gonna go out, you all received a copy of it, so, I'll distribute it. Is that approved?
What article? The 2 tips?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good the way it is. It's fine.
Does that need to be voted on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, we've had comments, if anybody has comments, they certainly can do that. My question is, what's the vehicle to get it out there?
Well, we haven't created a mailing list yet, but as I said, it'll probably certainly Brenda's email, the police department, health department.
Why don't we start with the PD and, I don't know, health, do you really need to do that?
Do what?
Circulate this, walking tips and stuff like that? No. I think it'd be best in Brenda's
Mm-hmm.
bi-weekly town update, and if we could get the PD, to put it on their website or something like that.
Did you see it? Did you not see it? That's
I
okay.
have one piece of feedback.
Sure.
That's okay.
It's-
I thought maybe we could have a friendlier tone. Some of it sounded like a little threatening to me. Like,
Oh, I was
well,
trying to make it friendly, so, yeah. 2 tips for walking and running safer in Fairfield.
Yeah, the title
Yeah.
isn't that. It's just, it just sounds like, it's busy, like the traffic is busy, stay out of the way, it could be kind of scary, like, I don't know,
Well-
the way that I read it, it's like, oh, there's a lot of cars on the road, here's how you keep safe, and this is the law, so don't forget to actually.
Well, I did that parenthetically. I brought that in late for that very reason. I agree with you.
Because people refuse to believe that it is the law.
Yeah.
Like,
And,
people-
and we're not trying to get them to do it because it's the law. We're trying to get them to do it because it's a smart
splattered
thing
on
to
the
do.
road.
And it's also the law, But we can hold this if you want to
Yeah,
send a response.
I can give some
Yeah.
specific
Just
feedback.
trying to keep it very brief. It comes from a much longer list with lots of different tips.
Okay, look, let's get Anya's comments, and we'll table this till next meeting, okay?
Sure.
I'll can email you directly.
And then we'll issue your comments into the draft, and,
Sure.
or Tony can put them in there, and then we'll have a discussion,
Yeah.
or you guys, I won't be here, but,
Yeah.
have a discussion on it, and hopefully.
But so many people are so clueless when they go out on the street, you want to get their attention. Hello? You know, so.
Do we want to, in addition to, the Brenda thing, which will happen once, and if the police department wants to put it on their thing, we want to do things like add Moms of Fairfield and Nextdoor and all these other town social media platforms?
We can do blasts, but, yeah.
I don't know.
Probably make a list, I guess.
And check the
mailing.
flags, find out if it's an order to use.
But all takes time, and,
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single
All right.
first step.
Let's move on. Town department updates. Santina, do you have anything? I put grant application. I know that was a 70-pager you were working on.
Yeah, so the grant application was put in, so the current grant that we were kind of getting from the state was competitive. So I submitted it a few weeks ago. We won't hear back until August 1st. But, just keep in mind, if we don't get it, then, that we kind of lose the revenue for sidewalk improvements and, the bike routes and stuff like that. So once I find out, I will let you guys know, but we wrote it for $150,000 over the course of 5 years, $30,000 a year. So it had been delayed a bunch from the state, so they said August 1st. I doubt we'll hear anything by August 1st, or hopefully by September we'll know something. And then Bill and I were just kind of catching up before the meeting started. We still have the grant money, which is about $15,000 to spend by September 30th. And we're going to do the South Pine Creek improvements. And then the other thing that was brought to our attention is, I think, the bike pump at South Pine Creek somewhere is broken. So we're going to try to purchase a new bike pump. And then I had mentioned that the state had given us an additional $7,000 for the Greenfield Hill bike route, and the state just never put that in our contract. So, at this point, something else Bill and I are going to talk about tomorrow is we can potentially still get the money for the signage, but it has to go through the state. And the vendor that we currently use is not on contract with the state. And therefore, now we'll have to get 3 competitive bids. And so we're just kind of going back and forth on, there's not even 100% chance that the state will do this for us. So
For $7,000, you got to get 3 bids?
Yeah.
Isn't there a minimum bid threshold? When I worked for
Anything over 3,000, for anything with the town, you have to do,
Really?
Yeah, and this is with the state, so they're not on their contract list.
We said, when I was in Reading, our limit was $25,000 to do bids.
Just real quick, just to let you know, it's one of the reasons why the government wheels are slow. But they did try to change it with the town charter, and unfortunately, there's other stuff in it, so it got turned down.
So
part of that.
What were they going to change it to? Do you remember? I'm just curious.
I thought it was 15 or 20,000.
Yeah, that's sort of the norm. Yeah,
But
okay.
this is nothing through the town, it's all through the state, and this is what they're requiring, this is their contract.
Okay.
So, we'll keep you guys posted and let you know.
What signage? I'm just curious, what
So,
organization was it on? The sheriff?
About a year ago,
Yeah.
the Greenfield Hill bike route was approved by the police commission.
Okay.
And so what we wanted to do with that bike route, because it is really narrow, we didn't want to do the striping and stuff on the roads.
Yeah.
What we wanted to do is just put the signage to alert drivers that there could be bicyclists on the road. So share the road, and this is where the bike route is, and things like that. And so the state had said, we'll give you an additional $7,000 on your grant.
Okay.
And I did approach them twice about it,
Yeah.
that it wasn't in our contract, and they're like, oh, we'll fix it, and they just never did.
Do we know if signage like that is effective for making it safer?
I mean, yes and no, we have no idea,
We don't. There's no research on that already?
I'm sure there is, and I can definitely look it up, but we just thought the bike route was approved, and at least for bikers to know where the bike route is, so the arrows and, where the bike route
So it benefits the bikers at least, whether or not.
It's more of an awareness program. Think of it as an awareness program. There are some people who might not realize that people bike on.
But your question is a
Reading
good
Road,
one.
Burr Street, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, it's more of an awareness thing. Much like the Norwalk Cyclist Club or Sound Cyclist, had those signs, keep 3 feet away, from a cyclist to law, and stuff like that.
I'm sure cyclists will be looking for signage for cycling, whether or not, motor traffic is necessarily looking for it. Depends on the environment, depends on what other visual distractions there are.
Right now, on that path, that route, there's no signage, right?
Correct.
It says this is the Greenfield Hill result. Minimally, just to stake out.
So I'm kind of thinking about like hiking markers, when I see painting on the trees to show you that's where you should go.
You see these signs.
Yeah, so like the shoreline bike route, so around Old Post and, the beach area and Mill Plain, like you'll walk and you'll see it says, shoreline bike route or Mill Plain Road bike route, and then it has like green arrows and, the big yellow sign that says share the road to alert the drivers that there are cyclists and pedestrians.
So the primary target audience for that is first the bikers themselves.
Yep.
And then the rest is gravy.
So we were told that we could have additional funding, and then that never fell through.
Okay, great. Anything else? Thank you very much. On to engineering. I put.
Name again, since I'll be doing I'm sorry, Santina.
See, just a quick follow-up question.
Santina.
Yeah, go ahead.
What exactly, if any, is the approval process? Do we need approvals from the town before we send out messages to a mailing list or anything? Do we act independently? Does it have to be signed off?
Well, I think
Brenda's office?
I think the vehicle that you use to get the message out needs to approve it. So in other words, if you want to put it into the update, I think that somebody from the selectman's office.
Brenda's have no problem with that's
okay.
Obviously, but if we're sending out to other organizations.
Well, they can choose to. They could choose to either print it or not. I guess
that's not what I mean. What I'm saying is, if we are speaking and seen as an agency of the town, if we're speaking for the town, then do we need to have approval of that message?
But we're not making any decisions. We're just disseminating information. So I think as long as we're not telling people, the committee has decided that, if you walk on the wrong side of the road, we're going to start handing out tickets. That we can't do that.
Right.
But we're giving out information. We're sharing information. We're educating the public, and I don't see where that would have any. As long as the information is accurate, for sure.
We're from an advertising background.
Tell them.
Nothing gets done until somebody, the client, signs off on it, and the town is our client. I think we're their agent, so to speak.
In other words, I don't know. We as a committee can decide on a certain message. It may be a simple one that's already established. There's probably no problem with that, of course. But if we decide to accent this or to accent that, we have no way of knowing if that is in concert with whatever the town government is trying to do, and whether it conflicts with
I think the short answer would be that
maybe it doesn't.
That you go to the highest level of authority, which is the Board of Selectmen, and if they agree with the message, I think it's okay.
So therefore, you're saying that the Board of Selectmen needs to vote on our messages before.
I don't know if they need to vote on it per se. I don't think that's necessary. I just think that who's the.
I think the simplest way, to be honest with you, is if you want to put it in the newsletter, which is one of the best ways to do it.
Right.
Then already, by them putting it in the newsletter, they're approving it.
Right. If we're putting it in the town newsletter,
exactly.
That's no problem, because that's the entity which would approve what we do.
Right.
But if we're distributing to our own independent mailing list, to, a mommy list or something like that, that's different. There's no editorial oversight.
And it's just my opinion. If it was wear your helmets for, educational, no controversy whatsoever.
So let me cook up.
There may be no problem. I'm just throwing it out there.
A minor controversy, okay? We put out a thing, or there's a piece of information that you were asking about. Does the signs work? And what happens if at some point we put out a thing, and there's research that shows that speed bumps are really great at slowing down and protecting pedestrians, blah, 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 blah. And we know damn well that this town hates speed bumps and will never approve them. So if we were to put that out, there could be some reaction from town hall saying, what are you guys doing you know?
But that's not,
Yeah, but
that's
when you
not
say
an
put it
educational
out,
method.
we're not gonna put anything out without going to the board, so we just sort of
You're
talked
better
about
off.
that. We're gonna run it by the Board of Selectmen first, or Brenda, or, who's the PR person for, Brenda?
I don't know the name offhand.
Yeah,
It used to be, it's Jackie, but she's on maternity leave, so now it's
Jack-
Sam.
Okay, so-
My question was just a simple one.
Yeah.
Whether or not we act independently or we need approval before we send out public messages.
Let's start small, okay? Let's take a small bite.
Yeah.
Like I said, let's keep it only through town organizations. I would suggest Brenda's newsletter and the PD Facebook page.
Okay.
Those are two town organizations, okay? Let's not go outside then, okay?
That would have inherent
let's
town
start.
oversight.
Yes,
So that's
right,
fine.
right.
Yeah.
So let's start with that, okay? And then we could always build on it, you know, for sure.
I would say it's always possible to send out emails wherever we want to. I just want to know what policy is before we do that.
PD Facebook, you said, or PD email?
I don't know, Evan, what's your method of distribution? You guys have a pretty, high number of,
I would say social media.
Yeah.
your Facebook page has 17,000 followers or something like that. I mean, that's a good number, so,
Right.
you know, again, I think that's a good one, so.
That's fine. That's a those two are no-brainers.
Let's sort of make a decision, I'll call it, of, on our very first one, it would only be published and run by the selectmen and the police department, okay? And then we can always expand that.
That answers
going
the
forward.
question.
And you know what's gonna happen, I think a mom from Fairfield's gonna read this and say, hey, let's post this to our Facebook page. That's their choice. They can do that if they want. We don't have any.
Well, that's what ideally we would like, that kind
Right,
of sharing.
right, as opposed to sending it directly,
So
so.
you can't go wrong that way.
Yeah, okay, all right, let's do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Bill, I have three things on here. Hopefully you can just sort of spend a couple minutes on each one. Mill Plain Road Crosswalk, Mega, maybe that's you because you talked about that last month. The traffic calming draft update where I asked for some roads and any input you had into the draft that I did last month. And then talk about the Ville Avenue cone test. Is what I'm calling it. I'm set the right term.
Yeah, Megan can do the Mill Plain, and she could probably do Ville Avenue, so
Right.
if you wanna go ahead with
Yeah,
those.
so start with the Mill Plain Road, so we have given that to the contractor, he required another encroachment permit, so we are hoping to start, I have to ask when he is hoping, but maybe
Next
by
2 weeks, we think,
Yeah,
yeah.
next 2 weeks, so it's in the hand of contractor, the Mill Plain Road. I don't know if you guys saw I can pull the.
Now, just real quick, that's the 6, handicap entrances, handicap ramps, and the,
So this is a plan that Mill Plain has, this is
And the
the
crosswalk.
crosswalk. So this is the I-95 ramp, I can just a little, I-95 ramp, so we're doing the crosswalks here, these are all proposed crosswalks, and you see these are aligned, now these will be like perpendicular. Like, at present, this crosswalk is coming like this,
So you're gonna bump them out?
yes, so we are just making it perpendicular over here, making it straight instead of it's coming at an
Yep.
angle.
closer to the intersection for more visibility.
Yep.
So now
Yep.
people will be like here, you know, and similarly,
Unfortunately, that was where the
Yeah.
fatality
so
occurred.
Right.
this section will be new ADA ramp, similarly over here, it used to be this side, now we are moving. Now perpendicular, so that way you don't have to move here all the way.
Great, okay.
And also on the other side of the highway, on the other.
Also on the other side of the highway, Sturgis
Charlton
Road,
Hospital.
Yep.
we are proposing crosswalks and ADA ramps, this will be a new.
Are proposing, or this is what the contractor is doing in 2 weeks?
That is proposing, that's what contractor will be doing in 2 weeks.
Well,
It's been
we have a
approved.
contract.
It's been approved.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's more than a proposal?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what's been decided for the contractor to
Mhm.
do in 2 weeks.
That's a long crosswalk.
It'd be two different contractors, though. The one is
Different contractor.
the one that constructs the ramps, then the line painting contractor,
So-
which
But the work.
the state is going to, that's why the state got involved. The ones that go across the state highway 95
Yeah.
ramps, the state has to do the crosswalks, and that's why we needed approval, which took about a year.
Okay, but all of this
Mhm.
is kicking off.
It's all
Yes,
close.
there's nothing, so in 2 weeks, we'll get those
You'll
bumped out
at least
and
see
those
some
crosswalks.
progress. It might not be completed in 2
It's
weeks.
kicking off,
but
that's
yes.
what I'm saying, kicking off in 2 weeks.
Yep, absolutely.
Can you email those to the group, just so I,
Yes.
is that okay?
Yeah, sure, I will. Just to let you know, what Bill and I really try to convince the state to extend this median, because it's a long crosswalk, we understand that.
Yeah.
We wanted to extend this median so that when people are crossing, gives them a refuge island a little bit,
Yeah, and
breathing, and then they can cross, but state refused to do that.
Seriously?
Yep.
Why?
They did not, they
Glad we
did
don't.
not even came to, and Bill, actually it's Bill initiated in that because he said to them, please come out and walk through with us, and they did not. So,
They didn't even come out?
no, they refused. So,
Is there a reason why they have to have the rounded corner there, and if you've squared it off, made a 90-degree angle on the turn?
Again, it's their median.
Their median.
Or which one are you talking about? Town road?
That very long crosswalk scares me. I mean, that's huge. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
if you took where you turn to the right here, let's say, okay?
That's to go south.
You see that, the curve there. I mean, if you ran that up and over, the crosswalk would be a lot
Anything to the
shorter.
right of that crosswalk is state, and so we can't do anything with it.
But can we propose to them to square it off and then put, so that it's not
They
such
wouldn't do
a...
the island,
We
they're
did
not
the
gonna
plans, we did speak to them, Tracy May said that we cannot, because of the maintenance issues, we cannot touch anything on these.
And they're doing it
Oh.
for a WB 60, because it's an interstate
Yeah.
highway, a WB 67 tandem tractor trailer has to make that
Okay,
curve.
I didn't think of
Yeah,
that,
that's
yeah.
what I mean. It's
Is
not-
there a traffic light being added, or is this?
No, it's a four-way stop.
No.
It's
No
a
traffic light.
long cross, that's a long cross.
Yeah, no,
Not even a light.
that's why we were You do take advantage, if we move that crosswalk a little bit closer to the island there, at least there'll be a little bit of refuge, but like Megan said, we just asked, can we extend that?
Extend this.
And we thought that was a no-brainer, and they were like, no, can't.
Doesn't that island have a guardrail on it?
No guardrail.
No, I don't
No
think
guard,
so,
it's
no.
just dirt and grass?
Yeah, this
Okay.
is just very flat here.
No, I mean, on the island, the island.
No, there's no guardrail.
There's no guardrail?
No,
It's
it's not,
dirt?
it's grass.
It's grass, yeah.
Well,
Curbing, I think.
it's the sign place to walk.
Why wouldn't we move the crosswalk, I don't wanna change what you guys did, but why wouldn't we move it up to butt up against the median?
Do the
Well,
best.
it might, that's just a
Repeating it.
representative,
I mean, I think
we
that-
have a little bit of play with
That
that.
helps a
That's
little
what
bit
I think.
because
Yeah.
it makes it shorter and it's not,
I'm
it's
sorry?
still a lot more visible than, having nothing, or whatever.
Mhm.
What's there now? Nothing, right?
I think it was
No,
what we're talking
nothing.
about,
Nothing.
Okay.
But you
Again,
have
the
to
state
go
will
by
be
the
being able to
state,
make a
yeah,
corner,
we
a
go
turn.
by the state, they don't want
Did
to
you
touch
say that?
anything, they
Right
want
on
to
the
make
bottom.
existing, so.
Mhm.
Well, when they leave, we'll paint it over and put in our own.
Maybe, I'm not saying.
In the dark of night?
Depends.
I was only kidding, recording.
So this is what we will be doing this time.
Can we
also.
can we ask the state for the justification about not extending that median?
They gave the maintenance is a problem, and then the tractor trailer turning movement, and,
Where does the median get in the way with a tractor trailer?
Well, if they got a
I think
swing.
it's
Runs
about-
over it, wide turn, that's why it's a rounded curve.
Yes, that, they
It's
don't.
too tight for a big vehicle to make a wide turn.
Well, look, let's see what it looks like. I really hope this gets done in the next month or so.
Yeah,
It's
no,
been dragging on forever.
In real terms, when you said we can maybe go back and do it, that's what you have to do. You have to let it go out, see how it is, and if in 6 months,
Yeah.
we're getting complaints of, well, why don't we move that, or can we revise that?
Yep.
We could possibly go for a quick revision in the permit since they've already approved it, and then maybe go that way. That would be the official
Sounds
way.
good.
to-
Let's get something down there.
But it also makes it really hard though, which is again, more for educational purposes here, but we have to go through like 3 different divisions of the DOT. There's the traffic division, or highway division, and then there's the DOT 3
District
local district in New Haven. So 3 different.
Anya had a good question, if I may, because I'm curious also, and because all of this was long before I came here. And that's, were traffic lights considered for this? Are they impractical? Was that ever?
There's certain warrants that have to be met on that, and, in some cases, traffic signals can help with traffic flow, and in other cases, they can make a mess. And I'll just use the example, I hate to say it, but the, traffic light at,
There is some-
rec
there is
center,
signage.
the traffic gets backed up, and then it causes all sorts of problems, and then you got...
I was just thinking the time where you press the button, maybe it's just always green.
Oh, pedestrian.
No, you can only do that with a traffic signal. There's all sorts of rules in a book called the MUTCD, and you have to follow those because those are legal documents. Although some people don't agree with everything in there, it doesn't matter. They're still legal documents, and the state of Connecticut says you must follow that. So that's what we do here in Fairfield. And so the state highway, that's why it took so long. I mean, it was, the first year was, you know, between COVID and some other issues, and then the second was getting just all the three agencies to agree. But we finally have it. We have given it to the contractor. We saw them fill out the state permit, so we know it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, yeah, let's not make any changes, let's get it done.
I'm not asking for changes, I just want to...
Yeah, I'm trying to give you some background.
Yeah.
This is not, sorry, Mary's on the call, and she's like trying to figure out, I think, which intersection we're talking about. It's not, we're not Mill Plain and Umpqua, this is from the highway, right?
Mill Plain and...
Yeah.
Sorry?
Mill Plain and Sturgis and I-95.
Okay.
Carlton Hospital is
And
right
then-
there in the upper right-hand corner.
And then on the south side of the highway, you can think of in between 95 and the rec center.
Right,
There's a couple of intersections, obviously closer to 95, that the ramps,
okay.
unfortunately, where the one pedestrian was hit.
Was that close to the 95 North ramp?
Yeah, that's the one right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So, we are just letting, we also adding crosswalks and improving the Redfield Road, Sunfield as well. So these, all crosswalks will be added.
The state did approve the yield to pedestrian sign last year. That was a quicker approval that we got.
The one that's bent almost in half, could we get that replaced and fixed?
I'll have to look at it or send it into the...
Did you see it? You know what I'm talking
No,
about?
I haven't yet.
Somebody must have hit it, it's bent like,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay, thank you very much.
That's that.
Very ironic.
And then-
We have the last.
Do you want to go over Villa, or has...
Yes, Villa, let's do Villa next.
Yes, Villa.
Villa next, and then...
Did you guys go there? I just go briefly what exactly we are doing. We have Anya was there and this. So what happened is Villa Conceptual, as you know, this is not very showing very curved medians. We put the cones here to curve here, and then we have put the cones over here. And then some cones over here, some cones over here, some cones over here. The whole concept was to, when these traffic enters, to slow down and keep that speed consistent all the way till the stop sign. So that's the concept of this plan. When I went with Anya, we saw a lot of vehicles were slowing down in this area. They do slow down, but just kind of have to study tomorrow morning how this intersection is going on, because we may have to extend a little bit of curve here to do that. So this is what right now we have laid out the plan is. And then there is a stop sign here. These curves really automatically close down the vehicles. That's what the concept is behind, to give attract more pedestrians and bicyclists also. And there's a crosswalk for that.
Is the green and yellow in that picture, is that the biking area that we talked about?
Existing side grass
Oh, sorry,
area are the
okay.
greens, and existing sidewalks are these areas.
So what's the plan after this test of a week or two, whatever, what happens next?
So we are actually putting a black cat data with the police department, so that we will study the speed. We want to see how much speed reductions are we getting with this test first. If they're really meeting our expectations or not. It could be harder because we're putting cones and, it's not in a real situation.
What does black hat mean?
They have a black hat data for maybe,
It's out there now, we put it out today.
Oh, already out, okay.
It measures the speed of all the vehicles, the volume, and I believe it's whether it's a truck or a car. So
It's a more accurate reading than like digital display or something like that, because it's affixed to a utility pole. So you'll get true data rather than simply seeing a flashing sign which may alter speed.
Right.
So that's like a true,
That's a pretty
True stat.
indiscriminate.
yeah, you won't see it out.
Yeah, that's the key thing. It might be the size, it's square usually, but it might be the size of where it says Town of Fairfield, that
Yeah,
little
it's about
seal.
this big.
So a driver, it will record the speed before the driver recognizes that
That's
it's
cool.
there. And they rotate it around, it'll only be there probably a week or
We
two
do
a month.
try to get a week of data.
Yeah.
Do you have data prior to the cones being put up?
Yeah, I think the Black Cat's been out there like 5 times already.
So, okay, so you can look at what it was without the cones and what it is with the cones, which is very valuable, obviously.
Right,
Okay,
right. We did a preliminary study and it showed a significant decrease, but it was, you know, a half hour here, an hour here in one day, so, but it was just the initial one, so that's why we're doing the longer term.
Area is really working to slow down. I noticed that people do slow down in this area and this area. It is helping. It can't save.
Can't hurt, I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, if nothing else, it'll slow down and see what the hell is, what's going on, you know?
So
Then when it becomes a real island.
goes, I mean, I don't know how much we can rely just on cones. It can be, you know, it can be, there's just a
Well, there'll be actually medians,
Yeah.
that's what the whole point is.
Right.
The cones represent the area where we're gonna do a median.
Is the intent to have a solid line of cones, or right now you have like 2 groupings, I think, or 3 groupings of cones? Is that eventually the red line gonna be all
Yeah.
cones, or?
No, median, like on,
Extruded carb,
was it Fairfield Avenue, you know how they have the median
Yeah.
in between in Black Rock?
Okay.
Yeah, just like that.
You have it, it's stenciled out,
Yeah. Yeah. It's the shape, if you go there, you'll see the shape of it, and they're strategically located in between, one is on the curve, one on the straightaway, and so it doesn't interfere with driveways either, that, you know.
Yep, okay.
Yeah, these driveways can go left.
I'll be honest with you, we expect it to go down 5 miles per hour, maybe even 7. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good. A lot more effective than other methods that we've tried so far.
Yeah.
Were you considering for the future, the possibility of rumble strips there? I thought you had mentioned that.
It's always a possibility. If this doesn't work, we then look into the next phase. But for right now, this road, the closer proximity to the houses, like look at how close those houses are. So we figured this would be better than the rumble strip. But
I
that
think
was
this will
one.
work,
Yeah.
definitely this area.
Preliminarily, we've had positive results.
Because of the pedestrian accommodation too, rumble strips may not be able to be that accommodating as compared to this plan. And then it's not, rumble strips may not break down the speeds as these are breaking down the speeds, like.
Not for these roads, because the road
Yeah,
also, rumble strips
exactly.
might work on another spot. But here, it's 32 feet wide. You know, the rumble strips work when it's a little bit like 24, 22 foot wide. And especially if it's a curvy road.
I forgot, are there sight lines painted on there now, or no?
Sight lines?
Sight lines.
These are fog lines,
Yeah, these are all.
There are, all, the whole strip has fog lines.
Yeah, you only see some of it because the utility went in there and ripped up.
That's right, they did some
That's-
repaving, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Megan, that crosswalk, right?
Yeah. this
Where does
is-
that crosswalk, looks like it's going from nowhere to nowhere.
So we have, right, Bill?
Well, that is a future crosswalk that will go, the town purchased that property.
Property here.
So when it's gonna be a very passive development, but they were thinking of having like a small trail, a little dog walk area.
Oh, okay.
And also for some wetland restoration and maybe even some, detention, for
Sidewalk?
flooding. Well, sidewalk, I don't know if we'll put that in there, but if we go across and it would connect. And that would be where the island is, so basically you'd at least have that refuge that we were talking about before. Potentially sidewalks, again, that's something possibly in the future, that's more of a long-term plan. And again, to put it in perspective, according to our consultant on the last, and some of the last bids that we have open, a concrete sidewalk is $500,000 a mile. So think of that when, right now we have 120 miles of sidewalk in town.
How much is asphalt?
Half price.
Okay.
That's basically.
Okay, thank you, let's move on to the, we're,
$500,000 a block, did you say?
No, mile.
we're running,
If you don't mind, just real quick, I just wanna make sure,
You guys observe any comments, let me know for the.
yeah, okay.
yeah, thank you. We also, tomorrow, we're gonna be submitting a
Yeah,
grant
connectivity
for, connectivity, based on discussions with the Board of Ed, our grant writer, and, DOT. We're aiming for the McKinley School neighborhood, where we're proposing 16,000 square feet of sidewalk, which I think was, a little bit more, it's about 3/4 of a mile or of sidewalks on, a little bit on Lenox. We're aiming for Cardinal, and and then Naps Highway. And
Will it be concrete in that side?
That's what we're proposing right now, all the concrete, anything new. And then just to let you know that we had, Kristen McCarthy Vahey write something. We had Jennifer Marahona for Lennox about safety. I'm going to be submitting a pedestrian Zoom meeting that we had. We have, here's a list of all the new sidewalk requests, and the two in yellow are Naps Highway and Cardinal Street.
Just one detail, just
Sure.
picky question about that. So it's a Naps Highway leading all the way up to the high school?
No, we will run out of money then. Yeah, it's capped. We're doing the closest area near McKinley, but again, there's nothing saying that the next go around or whatever. There is.
The McKinley side, the sidewalk leading up to the highway looks so unsafe. It's narrow, it's overgrown.
To the highway, mean Black Rock Turnpike? Or?
No, sorry. I mean, Naps Highway, leading up to Fairfield Ward High School.
Well, we are going from McKinley towards that direction, but we're gonna stop probably at Cardinal, or what's that next, Crane, I think is the next.
I'm saying really.
Yeah, after that, we would have to tackle it another. That's what we have. And then there's also an area on Black Rock Turnpike where, for whatever reason, the bus shelter is here and there's no sidewalk even. And so we're actually connecting that as well. But just want to let you know that we had asked Steve to just write a support letter on behalf of I can't imagine anybody here, right, would object to writing a support letter for our grant, right? So, okay.
Yeah. I did it today. I could circulate it. I mean, it was pretty vanilla. And
yes, it's just showing
that, it's in the, schools, it's students, and, we care about the kids, and we do. And so
we tried to make it simple and easy.
Well, why not do a letter on FAPC letterhead?
I did.
And have us all sign it?
I don't.
Or are you signing as?
Signing as the chairman, yeah.
Good.
Right.
But I refer to it as the committee has, agreed to support this project or whatever.
Because we had talked about this or other grants. And
it's due tomorrow, so there wasn't a lot of time to not get the letter in, so
No, it constitutes the same thing.
I'll forward you what I wrote.
And actually, to just bring that real quick, there's a STEEP grant coming up. All right, just announced, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
And the STEEP grant was the same one that we had downtown. The town might look at sidewalks or some other thing, or they may look at another project. One time they looked at the senior center, bathrooms, or canopies for the commuters or whatever at the railroad station. So I never know. But if we're looking for ideas or whatever, we'll throw it by Steve. If nobody has any ideas, then we will continue with sidewalks and try to get that in. But as I said, they don't even give us a month to fill out the application.
And then they sit on it for 3 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's very frustrating. And then again, if you have somebody out or somebody's on vacation, they don't really give you that much time.
Okay, Bill, real quick, the traffic calming.
Tom, about the longest journey begins with just a single step.
The traffic calming that you had sent out, we haven't even had a chance between, unfortunately, the Reading Road thing and Bill Avenue. We've been working with police on this grant and some other stuff. We haven't even had a chance.
Those McKinley sidewalks that we just saw, are they on both sides of the street or just on one?
No, just on one side.
I thought so.
But that's what the neighborhood wanted. They wanted on the odd side of Cardinal. And so we looked at it, and there's one tree in one area that might be tough, but the rest of it looks good.
Good.
So,
all right,
thanks.
Thank you.
Do you need us for anything else, or?
No, I think we're good.
I just want to mention one thing real quick for Villa Ave. I just want to recap our conversation for this group, just super fast. Megan and I were on Villa Ave. I really appreciate the study you guys are doing. And what she and I also spent a long time talking about is with those bump outs, I was really concerned that there wouldn't be enough space for bicyclists because Villa Ave, I think, is a common shortcut for people from Stratfield biking to Fairfield Metro, for commuting purposes. I do think it's really important for that.
I did have a proposed, so we will see into it how we can get those temporary barriers. I have to do a research. I haven't seen in Connecticut yet. I know New York is testing, and it's one of those potential, I agree that.
Yeah, just want to have it on the radar, that we don't just want to slow cars. We want to make sure that.
I think we will end up putting something over there, like a little thing, so that it is.
Well, for Mill Plain Road, we've got a lot of speeding complaints on that, and the same thing. If we do islands or bulb outs, sometimes that affects the cyclist traffic, and so
we
you're.
need to think about all users of the road.
Right, exactly,
Yeah,
and
we
so
can't
that's where,
sacrifice one or the other.
Mill Plain Road, anybody that rides it, there's plenty of room for the cyclist, it's great, but they complain about speeding, and so, it's a
There's
catch-22.
Okay, great.
Yep,
Thank you.
Thank you, sure.
Thank you, guys. Evan, I have you down here for, just an update on it. One thought I had on this, did you see this thing that Tony, the draft? I mean, one of the thoughts I had when we first started talking about this stuff was developing something for...
The electric signage?
No, for the police department to hand out if they see these, I'll call them infractions for lack of a better term. In other words, if you're driving around and you see people walking the wrong way or something, would it ever be considered by the police department to take something like this little thing and say, hey, I just want you to know, could you please read this and know that it's safer to walk facing traffic, whatever, and that's it, and you drive away. Just, but like have a handout, make it prettier, nicer. Would that be an objectionable thing for the PD to do?
We did something similar to that, more related to vehicle stuff in each area years ago. I would have to look up and see how everything was worded, how it was presented. It was called Living Streets, I think was the program or like the initiative that was taken with it. I'd have to go back and see like the language of that, if it was more directly related to like certain violations and understanding the law and all these other things. But I don't think that there would be an objection, but that's going to have to be approved from somebody above.
No, I understand, for sure.
But I don't think that there would really be, again, objection to it. I think we just have to be.
I think
presented in a certain way.
I think to hit the people that are actually unaware of the proper way to walk is the most effective way to change people's behavior. And let's be honest, there is something about having a police car pull. You don't have to put your lights on or anything, but having a police car pull up, roll the window down and say, hey, just want you to know that, you really should be walking on the sidewalk, not on the road, or you should be walking facing traffic because it's safer. Please read this. Thank you. Goodbye. I mean, something simple as that.
Just something to think about. We can disregard, but Megan Rivas, right? She was walking on the correct side of the street.
I
I'm
understand.
wondering if there's at all, like now we're sending these reminders. Is there any sensitivity?
You can't
Well,
stop
but
everything.
she got hit from behind.
Oh, the vehicle.
It came across the lane.
Yeah.
But if you are walking on the wrong side of the road, your chances of getting hit
Sure. Oh, I'm not
are
arguing about
monumentally
best
higher.
Sure. No,
Yeah.
I'm not
In
I'm
terms
not
of
arguing
the
best
public
practice.
mindset right now?
No, I don't think.
Evan might know that better than we.
I would say that if something like this was to be implemented, I would wait for everything to die down a little bit with that.
And just pick an area. I mean,
So,
I wouldn't say make it a townwide thing, okay? You go to areas where there's high walking, okay? And I happen to live in one of those areas, okay? I mean, the Fairfield Beach Road area, from the Seagrape to the Beach Club, that strip there. To me, that's where, would be a great starting place. And see if it has any effect, whatever.
And I think our point of raising our profile, being more effective, yada, 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 something like walk on the left-hand side, facing the cars coming at you. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you really got, I think, you hit that with the schools. I mean, that's where, the whole wear your seatbelt mommy started, was kids in the school. Nobody understands.
Yeah.
And
that's a long process. That's years in the building.
I'm sure there's probably stuff from NHTSA about that.
If these guys have to stop and hand out flyers, then that's like the last point of attack, I think, for dealing with a problem. Education, which is a long tail proposition, and I realize that's part of education. It's hitting a few people. But you also brought up electronic signage before.
Yeah.
You said after July, perhaps they might be available. But that means this has to be windowed down to
how many characters?
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Walk on the left, face traffic.
It's safer.
One of the, when it comes to the education stuff, our school unit guys, they do, it's called SHAPE. It took the place of the DARE program. The DARE program is like the drugs and alcohol. There's a new thing, it's called SHAPE, and they touch on, substance abuse, but there's also other aspects of it. I don't know what their curriculum is, but I can get with them and just say, do you guys do anything when it comes to bike and pedestrian safety, wearing your helmets, and maybe start the education process through that, because they run the whole program with each elementary school. They have a little graduation, stuff like that. So I don't know what they're teaching, all aspects of it. I do know it's focused on substance abuse and like bullying, stuff like that, but I think I could ask them and find out if there is any implementation.
Is there a person in charge of that?
So the school unit supervisor is Jim Wiltz, he's the sergeant. So I'll touch base with him and see what they have readily available, or some of the guys that have been in this school unit for a while and what they are very familiar with their curriculum.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Steve, if you target a certain neighborhood that makes sense, such as you're talking about with the electronic signage, that's one way of starting to do it, perhaps.
Yeah.
And you might get more.
Well, I'm actually going to send something to the police commission requesting hard, regular signs. Okay, it says walk on left facing traffic, and you put them the opposite way. So if you can read it, you're walking the wrong way. Okay, and I think that's a start.
If you can read this.
I see them in New York State on Route 9. I took pictures of them, and in fact, it says state law. I took a picture of it. I could share it.
But I think the electronic signage would be more quickly put into effect and a first step.
Absolutely. No.
Yeah, no.
It was done. It was done once. I requested it probably 5 years ago, and it was done. It was up for a month, right at Cottage Place, between Cottage Place and where the little conservation area, that piece of land the town bought there. They stuck it right there. Or no, maybe it's a little before that, I think.
People need to be reminded all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
I was on your street. I went down, I was dropping somebody off, coming back, and I will say on both my way down and way back up, in the morning and the evening,
Are there a lot of requests?
people on your street, they were walking on the left.
It comes in waves.
Yeah, well,
They were doing the right thing.
listen, it's kind of one of those things that you'd like to have 100% compliance.
Deal with too many requests?
We get,
Okay,
we get requests for a lot of them, and some of them I'll tell people, like, we're not doing that, like, we're not gonna advertise for certain things, but something like this, when it relates to public safety, is something that we would definitely be able to accommodate. So, we can, once you guys determine, like, I can even just put something up there and I'll let you guys know, like, are you guys good with this wording, like, pedestrian.
If you give me the character count.
I'll have to check
things
because it's on my different program, so I can do up to 3 screens on it, like rotating, like one to the other.
Right.
The one thing though, like you said, I'm wondering if maybe we put it on ice for a little bit with the Reading Road thing, because I don't, I'm not. The day after the crash, I went to the house and I had to meet with the family and the kids and stuff like that. And they wanted to know if their mom did anything wrong that got her killed. So when I said she didn't do anything wrong, she's on the right side of the road, she's supposed to be walking and stuff like that. I don't want to make it seem like, and I don't want to say like it's being insensitive, but almost like, if you do these things, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a time and place for everything.
You know what I mean? I'm not objecting to
Fair point.
campaigns and stuff. I'm thinking just maybe if we dial it back, maybe till like end of summer or something. I know that summer's obviously a big walking, biking time of year, but maybe closer to school and stuff like that with the walkers, Sherman School, maybe that would be more appropriate in that Sherman School area, because that's a heavily walking, biking school. Yeah. Or some of these other schools, and stuff like that.
What could be a good way to put out the word on National Walk Bike Day? That's October 4th. I'm planning to use me for Stratfield. I know some other, I believe Sherman already does something on some other schools. Maybe we can plug in there.
Well, I think the month of October or November is National Pedestrian Month, one or the other. I think it's October. And that would be maybe that's the ideal time to do something.
Yeah.
But hold off. I'm fine with holding off.
And April is National Walking Day. I think it's like the first Wednesday of the month.
Oh, really?
I mean, May was National Bicycle Day, Bicycle Month. I'm sorry. By
I know
safety.
May 3rd last year was National Bike and Walk to School Day.
Yeah.
And October 4th is this year, and they'll have another one in May.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely something.
Is that done with activities, or is it just sort of a suggestion to
Every
the
school
public?
has its own
It's a school-
set of
school
thing.
thing.
It's per school, there's no fear of.
Well, look, let's take Evan's opinion, which I agree with, and let's not even think about doing anything
We'll test summer.
until
Yeah.
it's National
Yeah, I agree.
Pedestrian
Yeah.
Safety Month, which
Yeah.
again, I believe is October, but it could be November, and that's the ideal
then you
entry,
apply for it.
that's the
I
ideal
was just
entry point.
emphasizing the day, because I was thinking we can plug into the schools that are doing something
Sure.
and have it be part of their material.
Sure.
Yeah.
We could also do the.
Look, we could certainly start planning now,
Yeah.
I mean, it is August already, August,
I
so
mean,
it's
I've
three,
already
it's three,
started planning.
it's 3 months away, okay, okay. Good, very good,
All right.
I like it.
Are you done with us?
Oh, yeah, for
Okay,
sure,
great.
yeah, thank you.
Away with you.
Mary, are you still on the call? If
bye,
you
guys.
are,
You probably have the bigger flyer.
oh, thanks, Evan.
Thank you, sir.
Not yet.
Mary,
Yeah,
are you still on? I certainly apologize, we always run late, but do you have anything you'd like to share with the group before we adjourn?
well,
Oh, yeah, I have my thing.
We're gonna table that.
Oh, okay.
No?
two things. One is that we have monthly green tips through the PTA council that Anya was talking about, so perhaps they could do a green tip about, safe walking. So just goes to all the PTAs, social media, and Brenda's newsletter there's a tip every month, or every week, actually, during the school year.
Okay.
And then just to say that the forestry committee is continuing to plant trees, which are traffic calming
Yes,
apparatus, and we are going to be planting about 150 trees this fall, and we'll even have a wait list. So people are really excited about planting trees along the roadside, which is very good.
is it done by like a section of road or by individual homeowner request?
It's homeowner request because the homeowner is responsible for watering the tree.
Got it, okay.
Is it on the homeowner's property or on the town's right of way?
Right of way only. These are town trees. These are not private trees. But the homeowner does pay $200 to get a very big, 12-foot tree planted for them. So normally that would cost between $600 and $800. So it's a really great deal.
Cool, yeah, I like that.
One for free.
200, yeah. Great, wow, I like that. Be nice if you could find like a strip of road and get all the homeowners or get the town to pay for whatever.
Is there any consideration about in planting these trees if the location requested it's on the side of the street where the power lines are?
Yeah, if you go to tree planting on the town website, you'll see there's two sets of trees, one for line side and one for non-line side. So the ornamental are on the line side and shade trees only on the non-line side. And we try to get about 80% of our stock to be native. It's hard to get the ornamentals that are hardy enough for the roadside to be native. So we usually have this pretty much the same list from year to year, sometimes of different species, but pretty much the same one. So if you go and check it out, you see it, their pictures and all the specs about the trees. It's pretty easy to figure out what trees we are offering.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much.
And I just wanted to say and we do it on public property. So if there was like a stretch, like we just created this pocket park at 1720 Post Road, which is right behind Starbucks, that long
Right across
walking.
from St. Thomas.
That's correct, yep.
Yeah. So if you see any other places like that would be good, we could certainly work on doing another pocket park kind of thing.
Okay. I like that. Great.
Or, if there's an island, that might be good for trees or other plantings, we're happy to do that.
And weren't they, I was talking to somebody who's in, I forget, Elks Rotary or one of those things, and they were talking about, I don't know if it's the Parks and Rec or the town or whoever, selling sponsorships for the benches in these pocket parks. Is that, did he have it right?
That's Parks and Rec. I think they're $1,500 a pop normally. We're charging $5,000 so that we can cover all the plantings that we did in there. We worked with Oliver Nurseries. They donated their design for us and gave us plants at wholesale.
Oh my gosh. They help B'nai Israel too. That's so nice. They're helping everybody.
Yeah, Oliver Nurseries is amazing.
That's it. That's the only place I'm going to shop now.
Okay. All right, Mary, thank you so much. Sorry to keep you up so late in the meeting, but appreciate your input.
Sure.
Thank you.
So, Steve, I take it we're then holding off on that message, A, till we get some feedback from you, you rewrite ideas, and B, because of the town atmosphere.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I thought about it. I think the only real piece of feedback I have,
Mhm.
I think it's the common sense messaging that I think I was being sensitive to, because we're educating people, but we're telling them it's common sense.
Right.
Like you didn't know.
Oh, you don't care for that?
I think yeah, because it's not common sense. If it's common sense, you know, I feel like
If it was
common sense.
in other words,
kind of condescending.
if you don't do it, you don't have common sense.
Okay, so we can substitute it.
Implicit,
I looked at it again. I was trying to think, what was it that made me feel
That
like
was
this isn't right?
That's a good comment.
Yeah.
Good comment.
Easily fixed.
Good comment. Okay.
We're gonna hold off anyway till the atmosphere.
Look, the last item is, I was gonna have Anya talk about the bike bus event, but what I'm gonna do, we'll table it till next meeting, but also I'm gonna send it around. She sent me, you sent me like a link at some point, huh?
Yeah,
And it was very descriptive, the video and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna forward that to the committee, and we'll use that, and then next month, you can talk about it a little bit, during the meeting too.
I can keep it to 30 seconds, just so it's on your radar.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
We did a bike bus. For anyone who doesn't know bike bus, it's basically kids come together at a certain stop and bike from there to the school together, instead of just saying, everybody bike. Anyway, we had a ton of volunteers. We had a police escort. Kids had an amazing time. We did a survey. Everyone was like, when can we do this? We want to do this every week. And part of the point of the bus was to show we can't do this every week because the roads aren't safe enough. We can't get a police escort every week. So it's partly to have our kids have fun, partly to raise awareness of better roads. That's what we've done so far. Quick summary. And then looking forward, my plan is to do another bike bus for October 4th, National Walk Bike Day, as well as in May when we have the other one. There's two a year. And starting in the spring, I plan to bring this to as many schools in Fairfield as are interested. So I really want this to be like a town-wide thing. So it's a little too soon in the fall.
Obviously, kids live all around the schools here. The kids live all. So where do they all originate from to be this one train?
We have 3 stops that kids can go and choose from and meet us there. So they did have to make their own way to the stop, usually with the help of parents. And from there, because we're in Mass, we're able to safely get them to school. But we can talk about in September. Basically, I'm going to be planning the bike walk for Stratfield. That's my school. And I really hope for this to be a townwide thing in the spring.
Good stuff.
Done.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, motion to adjourn?
Second.
No, I'm not. Somebody make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
I second.
Okay. Tom's motion, Tony
Did you
second.
have additional business?
No.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourns at 7:49.